Are you having trouble in love? Or are you searching for the true other half of your life? Perhaps many of us all long for a sweet love and a fulfilling marriage, but in reality, we still keep stumbling again and again, and enduring no small amount of pain. The path to understanding love and learning how to love is also a path filled with many lessons. They're to temper you and help you grow. And besides drawing experience from your own love life, or from what you observe and witness in life, you can also enrich your wisdom about love through classic books. There is a novel that has been called an encyclopedia of love. It was described by the New York Times as the most beautiful love story in human history. That is the novel by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and it is also the work he himself was most satisfied with. Its title is Love in the Time of Cholera. This book tells the story of a love that lasts for more than half a century. Florentino Ariza, a poor young man, falls in love with Fermina Daza, a beautiful girl from a wealthy family. And it is precisely the difference in social status and the gap between rich and poor that prevents them from being together. Fermina marries someone else, while Ariza tries hard to improve himself in order to win back the true love of his life. And after 51 years filled with many ups and downs, the two of them finally do end up together. This is a great love story that survives the test of time, isn't it? However, behind that dazzling love lies a cruel side of real life that all of us must reflect on. Love cannot be built on sincerity alone. It is also a matter of overall compatibility and strength. If you and the other person cannot truly resonate with each other, then no matter how intense or passionate your love may be, it can still gradually wither away over the years. Hi everyone! Welcome to Literary Flow, the channel that shares knowledge for holistic self-development through great books. In today's video, I would like to share with you a theme called, If You Are Not Good Enough, Loving Anyone is Still in Vain. Through the famous novel Love in the Time of Cholera by the great Colombian writer Gabriel Garcia Marquez, I invite you all to listen along. If you are not good enough, then no matter how deeply you love, it still cannot carry the future. Ariza, the main character of the story, is the illegitimate son of the founder of a transport company, a man who is very rich and powerful. But Ariza is never publicly acknowledged or brought into the light. All the support his father gives him is done in secret. Then one day, his father suddenly dies, and the financial support is cut off. Ariza is forced to leave school and make a living by working at the post office. During a telegram delivery, Ariza meets Fermina. Her plum blossom eyes casually glance at him, and his heart immediately loses its rhythm. In order to attract Fermina's attention, every morning he would sit on a bench in the garden near her house, pretending to read poetry, and he kept writing letters to her. Inside those love letters, he tucked dried flower petals and tiny lines of verse. Late at night, he would often stand near her house and use the sound of his music to lull her to sleep. Gradually, Fermina begins to develop feelings for him. Their relationship quickly deepens, and Ariza begins to propose marriage to her. However, everything turns out completely opposite to what he expected. Because Fermina is in school and in love, she is disciplined and expelled from school. Her father flies into a rage, comes to find Ariza, and shouts, "Do not stand in the way of my daughter and me." In the eyes of a newly rich trader with little education, his daughter is nothing less than a trump card for the future. And Ariza, an illegitimate son, is truly just a thorn in his path. So Fermina's father uses distance to separate the lovers. He takes Fermina away from home. Yet no matter where Fermina goes, Ariza still finds ways to send her love letters. Seeing that he cannot truly separate the two of them, the father is finally forced to return the right to choose marriage to his daughter. After a long period of separation, Fermina meets Ariza again. But now, in her eyes, he is a poor, unattractive, worn-down man, like a drifter, completely different from the Prince Charming she once imagined him to be. She suddenly realizes that the love which had obsessed her was nothing more than an illusion. So she decisively breaks up with Ariza. There is a line in the book that says, "The weak can never enter the kingdom of love, because it is a kingdom full of harshness and stinginess." and women will only be moved by men of capability, because only such men can give them a sense of security. They want that sense of security so that they can face life's challenges. A little cottage and 2 golden hearts may sound beautiful, but one day, the people inside that little cottage may still have to suffer in the face of harsh realities. Ariza is intelligent and talented. However, his weakness at that time is like a nail pinning him down at the bottom of society. Although he tries his best to show the sincerity of his devotion, the fact that he himself does not grow or improve over many years becomes a fatal blow to his love story. And this is true for many people as well. When you like someone, you may throw away all your principles just to please them, like a moth chasing the flame of your love. But in the end, when your love is not returned, you are left disappointed and heartbroken. And you ask yourself, why is it so unfair? Why, when I love someone so sincerely and so deeply? But what you do not realize is that the real problem lies in yourself. You are not outstanding enough. You are not capable enough. No matter how deeply you love, that love still cannot lift the future of 2 people. Behind the curtain of love, daily needs and practical realities are always there. This is exactly what anyone who rushes into love or rushes into marriage must eventually face. Love is a marathon. After breaking up with Ariza, Fermina falls seriously ill. She suffers from vomiting and diarrhea. Her father thinks she has cholera, so he invites Dr. Urbino to examine her. The moment Dr. Urbino sees Fermina, he is immediately overwhelmed by her beauty. Her father notices this scene, and at once a plan forms in his mind. Dr. Urbino comes from an aristocratic family. His medical skill is outstanding, and besides healing the sick, he is also deeply involved in public welfare, making him highly influential in the local community. If his daughter marries this man, then not only will she never have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of her life, she will also have a strong pillar to rely on. So the father actively tries to bring them together, and the doctor begins courting Fermina. After spending time with him, Fermina feels that although the doctor is not very romantic, he has excellent conditions, he cares for her, and perhaps he is someone to whom she can entrust her whole life. In the end, she agrees to marry Dr. Urbino. Some people say that marriage is nothing more than an exchange, with each side taking what it needs. Fermina's beauty and Dr. Urbino's charm fit that statement very well. It is very much like an exchange. Wherever he goes, as long as Fermina is beside him, her beauty makes the doctor the center of attention and envy. And from Fermina's side, she is no longer merely the daughter of a tradesman. Now she is the wife of the famous Dr. Urbino, a woman with social status, enjoying wealth and prestige. But as you know, every beauty must one day face aging. A youthful face and youthful vitality will gradually become like dry, wrinkled leaves. The slender figure of the past will no longer remain as light and graceful as before. At that point, the balance in that original exchange begins to break. As Fermina grows older, her elegance gradually fades. She becomes a housewife standing behind her husband's shadow. Housework is endless, and with no one to share the burden, she becomes exhausted in body and spirit. Meanwhile, Dr. Urbino's fame grows ever greater, and his horizons rise ever higher. After a while, he is no longer interested in Fermina's aging face, and even begins having affairs with younger women. Although he eventually returns to the family, the 2 spouses by then have developed many conflicts, arguing constantly over trivial matters. Fermina has to spend the rest of her life in that heavy atmosphere. There is a sentence in the novel Jane Eyre that says, "Love is a game in which both sides must always remain evenly matched. Only then can affection last, because if one side is too strong, love becomes exhausting, and if one side is too weak, love becomes boring." That is true. Love is a marathon. When 2 people first fall in love or first get married, they begin at the same starting line. But whether they can reach the finish line together depends on the overall strength of each person. If the 2 people live on the same wavelength and maintain a state of balance, life will be harmonious. But when one side is not strong enough while the other keeps growing, the distance between them will become greater and greater. If there is not enough tolerance and not enough love, then the stronger side will take control in the relationship, while the weaker side will become passive and simply endure life. In the book, How to Make Anyone Fall in Love with You by Lael Lowndes, a well-known expert in interpersonal communication and romantic relationships, a book I also made a separate video about, there is mention of an extremely important factor in sustaining love: the principle of equal value. It sounds absurd to measure love as if it were part of a marketplace, doesn't it? But the truth often is that way. Researchers tell us that the happiest relationships are the ones that achieve balance. And the author of that book lists 6 factors people can rely on when choosing a life partner and maintaining a romantic relationship: appearance, wealth, status, knowledge, social ability, and character or moral quality. You can score each of these 6 factors on a scale from 1 to 10. Compare yourself with the person you love and see whether your scores are roughly equivalent in each category. Or even when the two of you are not equal in all things, the qualities and abilities you have that the other person lacks, or vice versa, can still complement and balance one another, so that both of you return to what I would call a point of equilibrium. So, remember this: if 2 people want to run to the finish line together, they must have comparable endurance. If the flower blooms, butterflies and bees will come. Back then, when Ariza was heartbroken after learning that Fermina had married, he became so miserable that he could not speak, could not eat, could not drink, and cried all night long. Later, he learned a painful lesson from it and began striving to change his situation. He went to his uncle's company to ask for work, passed harsh tests, and eventually won his uncle's trust, becoming one of the key people being trained by the company. Ariza's career then began to rise like a kite in the wind. But in love, he still remained like a drifter without any shore, because in his heart, there was always a place reserved for Fermina. Even though he had affairs with 622 lovers, and even filled 25 notebooks with their detailed contact information, that pleasure was still only like morning dew, vanishing quickly, because it could never replace the unforgettable first love. So the chance to begin again with Fermina became Ariza's only goal for the rest of his life. He took very careful care of his body, and even in old age he still maintained vigorous energy and a strong physique. In his career, he proved capable in all things, with admirable ability, and later successfully became president of the company. Wealthy, powerful, and healthy, Ariza finally lives to see the crucial moment: Dr. Urbino dies. On the very first day that Fermina becomes a widow, before she has even had time to wipe away her tears of grief, Ariza appears. He confesses the love he has kept hidden for nearly half a century, but she becomes furious and throws him out. Of course, he is not discouraged. He picks up his pen again and keeps writing love letters. To Fermina, those letters become like a tranquilizer at that time. In the end, Fermina gradually steps out from the identity of widowhood, listens to advice, and decides to board a travel ship owned by Ariza's company. During that journey, Ariza arranges the best cabin for Fermina, and amid the clouds, the sky, and the sea, he creates a love that feels almost unreal. Cut off from the world, these 2 old people, who have lost half their lives, finally come together and rekindle the love of their youth. Some people ask, was Fermina really moved by love? If Ariza had not become the capable man he was by then, but instead remained a poor, unattractive old man who suddenly came and said to her, "I have always loved you," would the ending still have been the same? The answer is clearly no. In reality, Fermina would never have chosen Ariza again if he had still been the weak man he once was. That is simply the reality of life. She chooses to board the ship with Ariza, because at that point she knows that Ariza's feelings are deep enough, and his strength is now enough to give her a sense of security. If the parasol tree is planted, the phoenix will come. If the flower blooms, bees and butterflies will surely find it. When you still have not obtained what you truly want, the first thing you should do is look back at yourself. Instead of sinking into discouragement and pessimism, it is better to calm down and temper yourself, using real effort to improve yourself. Then you will not need to cling to anyone, nor will you need to force yourself to please anyone. You will be like a flower in full bloom, naturally giving off fragrance and drawing to yourself those who are meant to love you. Under Marquez's pen, Ariza's love is like the outbreak of cholera in Latin America at that time. It is contagious, it can kill, and it can also be reborn. For Ariza, this pursuit of love lasting more than half a century is like an obsession he can never let go of. In truth, what he is so deeply attached to is the fact that he was once rejected. Only by proving his strength and winning Fermina back can he heal the wound in his heart, truly step out of the shadow of failure, and reclaim the self-respect he lost long ago. Ariza's story is very much like the story of many of us. We love someone, pour out everything to pursue them, yet remain as small and humiliated as dust, only to be unable to escape the fate of rejection in the end. For someone who does not love you, you may spend all your youth and all your passion and still receive not even a little sincerity in return. But the problem always lies within ourselves. One writer said that among all the responsibilities in the world, the most fundamental responsibility is to become yourself, to live as a self with unique character and value. Do not chase after a horse when you yourself are not yet strong enough. Rather than spending your time chasing the horse, it is better to plant the grass yourself. When spring comes warm and the flowers bloom, the horse will naturally be drawn to you. On the two ends of love's scale, do not let your own undeveloped character, ability, and conditions leave you unsteady upon that scale. The premise of love is first becoming an excellent version of yourself. Only by constantly pushing yourself forward, by letting yourself shine and illuminate yourself, can you light up the love of another. The better you become, the more naturally the person you like will come toward you. The benevolent see benevolence. The wise see wisdom. Faced with the same issue, each person will have a different view. Even when reading the same book, each person will come away with a different understanding. Today's video is Literary Flow's own understanding and reflection after reading this book, and I would like to share it with all of you as something to consider and learn from. As for love in this book, personally, I do not like Dr. Urbino because he is a man who is unfaithful. I also do not like Ariza because he is capable of holding on to a love for 51 years while still being involved with 622 other women. Nor do I like Fermina because in the end she does not truly love her husband, and she does not truly love Ariza either. She only chooses the person who best fits her expectations at a certain period of time. To me, this book is not only about love in the pure sense. It is a book that allows us to learn from these characters, who are portrayed as vividly and truthfully as real life itself, helping us understand how to love and how to cultivate and build our own happiness. Before loving anyone, and while loving anyone, no matter what, first love yourself. Learn how to become a better version of yourself, because when you change and become more capable, you will have enough tolerance and will know how to truly love. You will be able to give an unconditional love, instead of turning affection into some kind of exchange. What we need to do is achieve a state of balance and maintain that balance in love. Balance is the best state for sustaining a lasting relationship. I really like this saying, learn to be like an umbrella. If you cannot shelter others from sun and rain, then no one will ever hold you high above their head. Remember, as long as you keep becoming better, everything else will gradually become better too. If you want to love others, first learn how to fill yourself up. The way you love yourself is also the way you teach others to love you. I hope all of us can be sincere people, using self-respect and self-love to gain a beautiful and meaningful experience of love in this life. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Support me with a like, press follow, and turn on the notification bell so you can watch the latest videos. Thank you very much, and see you again in the next videos.